The Dallas Mavericks go balls to the wall and get a second win over the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And Luka Doncic takes a shot below the belt in Sexland.
Yep. It's going to be like that.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor at Mavs.com, the bucket baritone, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Oh, those Mavs, they're streaking right now. Let's go. 4 in a row.
Let's go.
Streaking, and man, Luka Doncic took a shot.
He didn't take a shot. He took the shot himself, right? Like, he didn't receive it.
Not the vaccine, guys. Not the vaccine, which he could have. I don't know, but different kind of shot.
Yeah, Luka Doncic gets ejected in this one. We will break it down. We'll talk all about that. On today's show, Isaac and I are going to break down the Dallas Mavericks 124-97 win over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Good Lord, that team is terrible.
I think it's one of the worst teams that Dallas has played. Even on top of that, they just don't care. And let's just put it this way. I don't know who is upset the most when Luka got ejected. Dallas, because they're losing their best player, or Cleveland, because that just means they have to tank harder.
Like Houston, Detroit, Oklahoma City, those teams have worse records. Actually, Cleveland is tied with Oklahoma City, but Detroit and Houston, those teams have worse records. Those teams aren't worse than this Cavs team, right? Like, those teams have more talent for sure than this Cavs team.
Well, this current one, like, they were missing Darius Garland. He's like, he's fun. Him and Sexton's fun. Okoro's fun.
That's it, right? That's the only guys
didn't play in this game. I like Jared Allen a lot. So, I mean,
yeah, they don't know how to use him. They just throw him out there and like run around and be tall. That's basically what they've told him.
He looks like he played in the ABA, though. He looks like a young Artist Gilmore, and I'm all for him.
He looks like the guy from Fat Albert, the old weird Harold is what they called him. Kevin Love too. That guy is just a shell of himself, right? Like, it looks like Blake Griffin in Detroit, basically. And Trey Burke blocked one of his shots tonight.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I'm glad you said Blake Griffin. I'm wondering if we will see a resurgence of him if he gets traded somewhere next year. It's like, if he goes to a better team, will we see a better version of him, or is he just done? And
he's got 2 years left on the deal after this season. So
I watch Kevin Love and I say, dang, I feel bad for you, bro. And then I see his salary number on Hoopside. I'm like, no, I don't at all.
Then go look at his spread in GQ or something to be like, oh no, you're fine. He's doing all right.
You're fine.
He's doing all right. We mentioned Luka Doncic. He finishes the game only with 22 minutes, and he gets ejected in the beginning of the third quarter, like within 2 minutes into the third quarter. Him and Colin Sexton are trying to box out to get this rebound. And Colin Sexton does something to him, elbows him, gets a little shove in there, and Luka doesn't like it. He turns around, and his arm kind of flings back, and it really, there's a certain angle, I'm sure you guys have all seen it, looks like he's just throwing a karate chop right down to his nuts, like right down to his crotch. And he hits him, and he connects. And Colin Sexton didn't even flinch or respond or anything like that, which is pretty surprising. The refs go and review it. They sit for forever. And
oh my gosh, we could do a whole segment. You know what we should do to bring awareness to the refs sucking so bad at reviews? We're gonna go silent on the podcast and just look at the camera for as long as they took the review. I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. Because
well, like we've said before, if we have time to make memes, you have time to get to call the review, right? Like that should be how it works. So they go to the review. It's a flagrant 2, and he gets ejected. So that doesn't add anything to his technical foul or his, that kind of ejection streak or anything like that. It's completely separate infraction, a different bucket, all that kind of stuff. And so this doesn't really change anything as far as that goes. But Luca, ejected out of this game, flagrant 2. He goes. The Mavericks go on like a 30-15 run after that. Just completely put together a really, really great run there, and it ended up working out.
The instant meme that Luca provided for the world.
Amazing. Go to my Twitter at Nick Van Exit. Just look at all the different faces and GIFs that I tweeted out about just Luca's face after this. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So, okay. A couple of different things I want to touch on. One, should Luka Doncic have been ejected? Yes, I actually do think he should have, because do I think Luka did it on purpose? I do. Yeah. Do I think he did it on purpose? No, not at all. And he said it after the game. He's like, no,
then that's a flagrant 1.
But can we judge the intent of things? I think in the moment you could look at that and say, I don't think he does, because I didn't think he did in the moment, mainly because I think just covering him and like seeing him on a Zoom and like knowing his personality. Yeah. But if you watch that clip, if you're a referee or whoever it is, you watch the clip, he did do it out of frustration. He did turn around and swing his arm out of anger, frustration in that play. And so like, I didn't blame him in that moment. I was more mad that how long it took. I'm like, if this happened just quick, I would be like, okay, it sucks. But yeah, I actually understood it, and I know I'm probably in the minority with Mavericks fans. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, if you're trying to do it in a vacuum, right? Like if you're trying to look at this play in a vacuum and say, okay, well, did he do it on purpose? Like this little, we'll just play it real quick. This little head tilt he does afterwards, like that little turnaround, he does the karate chop, and then the head tilt afterwards, like he turns around and looks at him as he does it. That's what really makes it. That's what really sells it right there. As it was on purpose, and it was like with intent to just mess with him or blah blah blah. And Luka after the game said that this happens all the time in NBA games, which made me think, holy cow, we're hitting people in the nuts in games all the time. Is this a Draymond Green, Steven Adams situation all over again? Who knows? But yeah.
And Sexton after the game, this was his quote to the media. Colin Sexton said, "It was just a box out play. Usually whenever someone is hand checking, then you punch down or swing down. It was just in the groin, but it's all good." And so it's like they both wrote it off as like, hey man, it was on accident. If Sexton fell down, if that was LeBron, he probably would have fell down for about 10 minutes and just like really soaked it up. But Sexton just like rolled with it. But the act of the play and Luka's intention in the play, like Luka's frustration, him acting in frustration, I understood why they threw him out, even though he didn't do it on purpose.
Did you guys catch Isaac's little chop down to LeBron on that one? He had to throw the little, get that.
I was trying to think of somebody who really
LeBron
like does things for LeBron. Attention and just drama and everything. And that was the first name that came to my head.
Real Housewives, LeBron. Same exact rating in Isaac's mind. That's exactly how he sees him.
I don't watch Real Housewives.
The Bachelorette then.
I was going to say The Bachelor.
The women on The Bachelor.
You know how good LeBron would be on The Bachelor? For real. This could be our whole second segment. What a great...
Too bad he's a great person and has been with his wife since high school and they have a great family and all that stuff.
I've always praised him for off the court stuff. He's great off the court.
The story of the game, though, I think was Tim Hardaway Jr. He's just continued this incredible streak that he's been on of just playing well, basically. He's been absolutely on fire. He's been shooting the ball really, really well. And it's coming from this streak that he had of just awful basketball. And I'm going to pull it up right here. On April 23rd, I tweeted out Tim Hardaway Jr. over his last 8 games, 10 points a game. He was shooting 35% from the field and under 30% from 3. And I said he was due for a bounce back 8 type game, which everyone listening knows what an 8 type game is. Hits 8 threes in a game. Since that tweet, April 23rd, Tim Hardaway Jr., 22.4 points a game, just about 50% from the field, 45% from 3, and the Mavs are 8-1. Absolutely wild. This team, and especially without Porzingis, this team rises and falls with Tim Hardaway Jr., right? Like if he's on and if he's going, if he's hitting threes, this is a completely different team. I was listening to, I think it was the Mismatch talk about the Mavericks, and just if they're hitting threes, they can beat anyone. Like this team, literally anybody in the West right now, even they can beat anybody if they're hitting threes. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is a huge part of this.
Yeah, 100%. And he's been starting, and this is a thing that if I had the time, I would write a super long piece on Tim Hardaway in his past 2 years, because just the professional that he's been. And even this year, it's like even him talking after this game, somebody asked him directly, say, "Hey, you playing at this level, is this because like you've been starting?" And like he thinks so, and he's acknowledged that he likes starting. He feels like he plays really well when he starts. But in the same vein, he's saying, "Man, I'll do whatever I have to do for the team. I will come off the bench. I'll be the sixth guy." And he's done that all season. And now he's played so well over the past few weeks starting that, man, he's really pressing Carlisle's hand. And when Maxey and those guys get back healthy, will Josh, go to the bench? Will Maxey go to I don't know. But Tim is playing so well. And I've seen some people throw out there as saying, is he the second best player on the Mavericks? I think and this is the way I would word it, I think he's the second most consistent player on the Mavericks. I think KP's like ceiling is higher as far as like talent. And I think even though they both struggle defensively, I think KP brings a little bit more defensively than Tim does. So I would still put KP in that spot. But man, what Tim has given Dallas over this past year, and really since he came over in the trade, I mean, exceeds everyone's expectations. I don't care 100%. Who you are. I don't care if you're Tim Hardaway Sr. This exceeded expectations of how it's went.
100%. And I can't believe you didn't take the time to chastise me or to make fun of me because my check mark there on Twitter.
Oh, I have it. I have a note on it.
I put it on full display just now on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube if you're not. Coming up, let's get into more about Tim Hardaway Jr. We'll talk about what he means to this team. Josh Richardson also had a pretty solid game in this one, and he seems to be really taking on the challenge. So we'll talk about him, get into all that. But before we do, if you're hiring for your company, what you really need is to make a short list of quality candidates that qualify for that job. You need a hiring partner who helps make your life easier. You need Indeed. Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview all on Indeed. You can get a quality short list of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster and only pay for the candidates that meet your must-have qualifications. Then you can schedule and complete video interviews in your Indeed dashboards, all just right there. You don't have to try and figure it all out yourself and schedule Zooms and all that kind of stuff. You can choose up to 130 skills tests for your jobs as well if you have a certain skill that certain applicants need to have. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. 4 more times than any other job site combined. It's the one place. It's like it is the one-stop shop basically for hiring. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with a free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/locked. A $70 credit at Indeed.com/locked. Indeed.com/locked. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into some more of this game. We're talking about Tim Hardaway Jr. Let's keep talking about him. 7 of 11 from 3, 25 points in this one. He was a plus 20. And like you said, Carlisle's hand is getting pushed right now for Tim Hardaway Jr. to start because this Mavericks team, their defense has never been where we thought it would potentially be with Josh Richardson in the lineup. And so, man, I'm going to be real surprised if Porzingis and Maxey don't come back and Carlisle starts Hardaway instead of Richardson and starts Maxey and KP then as the two guys in the comeback.
Yeah, I honestly think, first off, I'm sorry if y'all can hear my son. He's in the background singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star in his sleep. So I'm like stuck right now. I'm like, do I wake him up from his sleep or do I let him keep singing? And it's
hold on, he's singing in his sleep?
Yes, he's obsessed with the song right now. It's cute, but he sings it really loud. That's adorable. I honestly think that's what happens. I think when they come back, okay, but this also goes into something that can we go into some lineup stuff, or do we want to wait?
Yeah, we can get into some lineup stuff. This is a lot like what happened last year when Seth Curry was entered into the lineup with Tim Hardaway, right?
Yes, for sure. Because there's a 3-man group right now that. So the other night, I'm gonna use his name because I want to give him credit for this. But so Chark, we mentioned Jonathan Charks on this pod, he's a friend of both of ours, and so we've been texting about this whole Willie versus KP thing, and of just the difference this offense has when Willie's in there, or even a Dwight's in there, compared to the stretch 5 versus the rolling 5. And in our minds forever, it's like, man, we just want shooters around Luka and all this stuff. But what has the roll man opened up in the offense too, compared to having a stretch 5 and going into Willie and all this stuff? Like, guys, deep dive Willie numbers with Luka. There's some wild stuff in there of just like their net ratings in there and all this different stuff. But there's a sneaky 3-man combination that I think Carlisle has found in something that I want to see more of. It's the 3-man group of, they've played 294 minutes together.
Not a lot.
Not a ton. Their offensive rating is 124.
That's good.
Defensive rating is 101.
That's really good. Both of those numbers are insane.
And the net rating is 22.3.
Yes, that's math.
That's good.
Yeah, it's very good.
3-man group of Luka Doncic, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah.
And it's the starting unit that started the past, 5-6 games. And there's something about how this works with Dorian being pushed up to the 4 and playing with a guy like Willie that's more active on defense, that's rolling to the rim. I mean, it helps obviously that Dorian's hitting his 3-pointers too, but there's something defensively with that's working really, really well. And now, does this say that, hey, this is the best lineup in KP, their best lineup is KP on the floor? I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, I don't think we're watching this Mavericks team right now saying, okay, this is all just going to be thrown out the door whenever KP and Max and these guys come back. I think they're going to find ways to get these 3 guys on the court together because it's working. You could go the step further of saying, hey, what's the starting unit look like that's been starting with the Tim Hardaway, Dorian, Josh Richardson, Willie Cauley-Stein. Who's the other guy missing? Dorian?
Boban? Maxey?
No, the other guy that's in the starting unit.
Oh, Richardson?
I can't remember.
Hardaway. Luca.
Yeah. So look at this. It's
Trevor, Josh Bay.
How many?
Josh Green.
Okay, keep on going. Now I'm all confused. But anyway, that 3-man group, there's something defensively about that I think they found something. And I would not be surprised if they found ways for that 3-man group to play minutes come playoff time.
Yeah, and look, they have to start KP, right? You have to. And
oh yeah.
I mean, they really don't have an option. KP is a ceiling raiser for this team. He can do things that none of the other bigs can do on this roster. But what they need to have going into the playoffs, especially if they're going to play like a Denver or actually anybody, you need to have different looks. You need to have different looks you can go to and different options, right? And this Willie, Dorian, Luka kind of trio, that is a type of look. You get really active. I'm sure like Josh Green is involved in that. Richardson's probably involved in that. And you get really active defenders. You can get some stops here and there. And that makes for really good net ratings, right? Really good offensive rating, really good defensive rating. Get some stops, get some easy buckets. That makes your offensive rating look incredible and all that. Where Willie kind of breaks down a little bit is it seems like in the half court to me. Mm-hmm. And he's just pretty limited in a lot of ways. And so they have to throw some looks out. They have to find what matchups are the best. Willie was great against Brooklyn. He's great against a team like that. That's not really going to have a big that, gives him problems. He also was decent in a start against the Nuggets. And so that one's probably one that they're going to look at. And if they play the Nuggets, then we might see a Willie Cauley-Stein start instead of Porzingis. But we've also seen Porzingis be pretty decent against the Nuggets as well. So there's some options there. And Boban owns the Nuggets. So, I mean, there's lots of different options if that is the team that the Mavericks will play, which it seems more and more likely they're going to play the Nuggets.
Oh, yes. Please. We can talk scenarios maybe on tomorrow's pod. But real quick, Willie and Luka together, when they're on the court together, offensive rating of 118, 616 minutes together. both of them together, offensive rating 118, defensive rating 104, net rating plus 13. When Willie is off the floor and Luka is on the floor, offensive rating 114, defensive rating 113, net rating plus 1. That combination's working. Like, there's something about Willie and Luka. And I think it's even a bigger picture of, I know I tweeted this out the other day about Luka and Willie stats together. And somebody said, now imagine if, Willie was X, Y, and Z. And it was like 4
where
or 5.
My mind went immediately. Like, imagine if he was Gobert. Imagine if he was somebody else.
And I think that it does go. I've been trying to really think my way through like what this offense looks like moving forward in the future. And that it might not be the best offense or the best guys around Luka have to be for, straight up like shooters. It might not have to be that. And I know some of us, even myself, I'm like, man, that's what we just have to need, or we need that. But sometimes the rolling man might bring the space that the same amount of space that the pop god brings too. And so I'm just kind of talking through my emotions right now.
Well, and this goes back to Porzingis
is not for NBA or something.
Porzingis. Now, tell me exactly, how did this dream go? So this goes back to Porzingis and what we expected from him and what he has been, and the difference between those two things. We expected him to be a good roller and a great pick and pop guy, and he has not necessarily been a good roller. And so if they could get the best of both worlds with both of that, then the Mavs would just be insane right now. But they're not getting that from Porzingis for whatever reason. He doesn't set good screens. He doesn't roll hard to the rim. He's not as athletic and springy. All those kind of things. The other thing I want to point out. Some of the games that Willie and Luka have played together, like look at some of Willie's starts.
2 Cavs games. I mean,
2 wins over the Cavs, a win over Orlando, a win over Houston, a win over Charlotte, a double-digit win over Charlotte, a double-digit win over the Heat, that win over Brooklyn, a win over Denver. But the Brooklyn and Denver one aside, like those are some pretty bad teams that they've got. Mm-hmm. They've racked up some stats against. So there is some small sample size theater in this where you can get some. Some funky things in there, but yeah, sure. there is something, and there's something
there. There's something there. I'm not sitting there saying, man, KP a 6-man. No, not at all. Yeah. I'm just saying there's something with that's working, and I'll be really curious to see what this looks like moving forward against good teams.
Absolutely. We'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit more about this game coming up, but before we do, betonline.ag. It's the one place that we want to put down some money and bet on sports. So go to betonline.ag. We're checking it out right here. We have a couple of basketball games. By the way, we know that the Mavericks game on May 16th, so next Sunday, is going to be between, 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Central Time. So crazy stuff coming up soon. That Sunday is going to be insane. Couple of games already on the docket. The Grizzlies, a 10-point favorite over the New Orleans Pelicans. Both these teams need this game for the play-in. That's on Monday. So if you think the Grizzlies are going to, that is a huge spread right there. I'm not really sure about that one. The Bucks, a 7.5-point spread over the San Antonio Spurs. That one's pretty interesting. Go check it out at betonline.ag. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. Get a 50% welcome bonus to your first deposit. Check out BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Also, want to tell you about our friends at Built Bar. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They're absolutely delicious. We eat them all the time. Coconut brownie chunks, still the best. We've been emailing and messaging and telling people just over and over again to get those bars, get them to us, bring them back. But there's still a whole bunch of other bars that you can get right now. You can get the mint brownie, which is always like that. That one's the OG, still really, really good. 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, only 4 grams of sugar in that mint brownie bar. Go get it. It's a protein bar. It tastes like a candy bar. Use the promo code LOCKED15 to get a 15% off your next order. Not your first, your next order. So go check that out. BuiltBar.com. All right, Isaac, let's talk a little bit more about this game specifically. This Cavs team is bad. Richardson, though, 20 points in this game. What have you seen from him over these last couple of games now that he's been trying to put it together after that Miami just craziness where he was benched to start the second half?
Well, I mean, to take a quote from him after the game tonight, he said, I took it personal. And
we knew that. We could
loved
tell.
It. Yeah. And I loved his transparency on that. He said, I've been in the gym, somebody asking basically the same question Nick just asked me of, man, what's been in, what's the pep in your step basically over the past, few games. And he said, I've been in the gym. I've been working out more than what I used to. And he's like, when I'm not in there, I took it personal that I'm not playing and I'm not in there. And he's putting in the extra work. And man, I mean, that's what you want to hear, right? I mean, at least that's what I want to hear from a guy who, basically gets benched and replaced by some of these other guys, late in the game. And, he's getting the honorary start some nights. Basically, it's like, hey, you're going to play your 20 minutes, you're going to start. But we all know, I mean, if you've been watching basketball, you know that it's who finishes the game that matters. It's not who starts the game. It's like that's when you get the best players.
Well, for this Mavericks team, maybe who starts the game matters because they're still
that's true. Yeah,
winning first quarters, and when they win first quarters, they win the whole game. So
that's very true. Very true. So yeah, I mean, I think I've just seen him, be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more confident in his shot, and it's been working. So does that mean that Tim's not going to pass him up in the starting spot? I don't know about that, but I mean, we're going to we need Josh come playoff time.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Whatever he needs to do over these next, week and a half, it's crazy. The playoffs are less than 2 weeks away. Do it because we're desperately going to need Josh come playoff time.
Absolutely. Yeah, they need him for sure.
Who's going to guard Campazzo? I mean, come on.
I'm not sure that Josh Green. I'm not sure they need the Josh Richardson that's finding his own shot, taking his own shot, taking a bunch of jumpers. I'm not sure they need that Josh Richardson, the one that we're seeing in these two Cavs games. So even though we're starting to see his scoring kind of step back in, missed all 3 of the threes that he took, and he's hitting a lot of these mid-range 2-point shots. And so I'm kind of still wary. The stats have looked decent over the last couple of games, but is that the type of Josh Richardson that the Mavericks are going to need?
But if that's the key to him gaining confidence, let's do it now.
True.
Let's get it out now. Leave him in blowouts and say, take the shots. Get that confidence back in you that, yeah, you're a good basketball player. So, and then come playoff time, hey, Josh, those shots you took over the past month? None. So just defend. No. So yeah, I mean, just get the confidence back now. I think that's one of the main objectives with the Mavericks.
The other thing is, after this game, Maxey and Porzingis. Porzingis was doing some work pregame. He's been doing some work pregame. Maxey, it seems like he could be coming back pretty soon here. It'll be really interesting to see when those guys come back. This Maxey injury has been a little bit more, it's taken a little bit more time than I had expected.
Yeah.
And it's good that he's getting a little bit of a break because it seemed like he needed it. Didn't seem like he was right after, even coming back after his one break. But any thoughts on Porzingis and Maxey? And you said you thought Porzingis would play 4 games. I'm going to tell you, we're pretty close to the end here. And I don't know if he's going to get.
We have 4 left.
I was going to say, we have 4 games left. And I don't know if Porzingis is playing all 4 of these games.
No, I'll take this angle with Maxey. Don't be surprised if he's the one and not Josh that Tim replaces in the starting unit. Mainly because it goes back to what we were talking about a while ago with Willie and Dorian. I think there is something else about Dorian playing the 4. And, who do they want? If you do play Denver, who do you want guarding Michael Porter Jr.? Is it Dorian or Maxey? And I could see either one. I'm not saying it's like, hey, it has to be Dorian or whatever. But I'm saying you
have Porter Jr. and Gordon on that team. But
yeah, that's true. So I just don't think it's a lock that if Tim starts, it would be Josh. I could see a world to where Dorian's up in Maxey's spot and Maxey's coming off the bench. So yeah, the Maxey injury is taking a little bit longer than what I thought, but they probably have the same mindset that a lot of us have right now. It's like, hey, we're playing some sucky teams that these teams want to suck too. And let's just get these guys healthy. That's the number one thing. We want to go into the playoffs. And if you could do both, sign me up. If you could, do both of avoiding the play-in tournament and going to the playoffs with your full team healthy, then that's the number one goal. And right now, that's the path they're headed down.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see over these next 4 games. Guys, there's only 4 games left. There's a Memphis game on Tuesday, then the Pelicans back-to-back on Wednesday, Toronto on Friday, and then Sunday, Minnesota Timberwolves. Those are the last couple games there. And Toronto, we know, is not trying to win, and Memphis is still trying to win. So this Tuesday game is really the only one that is going to be kind of tough.
Pelicans, are they out of it yet? Or
not necessarily?
Okay.
Pelicans not out of it, and Minnesota tries hard. They have guys that they have a lot to prove. I mean, they beat the Magic by like 40 tonight, so
that's the Magic.
They're going out there and trying though. So this is not a cake. It's not a walk in the park the rest of this, but it is an easier schedule.
It's not Cleveland, so
it is not. Yeah, there's no more Cleveland's, Detroit's. There's no Washington. They're not even Washington, but
Sacramento. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
Well, on the other end of the spectrum, there are no more Sacramentos coming, so that's a positive. No worries. Okay, well, Jalen Brunson is another guy, and Dwight Powell. I think those are the two guys we should continue to talk about. Jalen Brunson, 5 for 5. He hit all 3 of his threes. He hit a crazy buzzer beater at the end of a quarter. And he had 7 assists in this game. He just continues to be solid. He was on the Low Post on Friday. So if you want to listen to an interview with him, go and check that podcast out. But yeah, Jalen Brunson, man, it's great to see him back and hitting his shots and getting to his spots. And because he was struggling there for a little bit.
Yeah, Rick praised him after the game, especially after Luca got ejected. And, Josh said post game, to the media, he said, once Luca got ejected, I think it was Callie who asked him, what was the team's approach to that? And Josh said, hey, I think we approached it professionally. He said, I went over to JB and said, all right, let's go. It's time to strap up and let's go, get the job done and get out of town, basically. And that's what they did. And I feel like, JB kind of put him on their back and said,
he did say, get out of here. That's exactly what he said. Let's put it on him and get out of here. That's what he said.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought he played really great tonight. He hit all 3 of his threes, like you said. And yeah, man, that's the I want to say benefit, but like, that's the thing of when you get a game like this where Luka, doesn't play for basically half the game. KP's not been playing. These are your 2 stars. You're gaining this confidence with the role players. You're getting the Josh Green minutes. You're getting, Nico Melli playing tonight. How much? I mean, he had 21 minutes tonight. Nico played. You had a marvelous tweet of saying Nico Brusino to Nico Melli. I thought it was hilarious. We need to fully lean into that. This is Brusino grown up right now.
They're the same. They're the same person.
Same person. But like, if these guys can continue this going, I mean, look at the guys, and I get it's Cleveland. We know, we just had that conversation. But if this is, a streak for Brunson that's starting, if Tim keeps this going, Josh has been playing well the past few games. Dwight's been playing well. Oh, look at that check mark.
It's too late now. I already called it out.
I have my notes. I'll start tomorrow's pod with it because I was just surprised that Nick was willing to do a podcast with something that's unverified. So they're starting Locked On Verified, which is a new podcast coming just for the verified people on the network. And Nick is hosting that. So us small people, we're still going to be here on Locked On Mavs. Follow us on YouTube. Listen to us on all the apps. We're on Locker Room. I will never leave you because I'm still with the rest of you in the world. Nick,
for the majority of you that are on the podcast, Isaac is making fun of me because my Twitter account is now verified. So,
now for real, it is really cool. I know I laugh about it, but both of us started off. I remember when we were first started covering the Mavericks.
I think when we met, we both had under 1,000 followers.
Yep. And now we just staying consistent.
Now people yell at us more, right? Like
honestly, that's the thing.
Nothing has changed.
We get more hate DMs, hate comments.
We don't get that many. I don't get that many hate DMs. I don't know if you do, but
yeah, every now and then.
I get people that asking for jobs now. So
that's good.
Which is wild to be on this side of it. Anyway, the other thing is Dwight Powell. Man, Dwight Powell's been on a little bit of a roll here. April Dwight Powell has turned into May Dwight Powell. Ever since they changed his roles have been rolling, like absolutely rolling.
Last
when he
couple
rolls
of games to the basket.
Listen to his last couple of stat lines here. Here, I'll pull it up for people on YouTube. So
think he likes dinner rolls?
He probably does.
No,
actually, I don't know if you've looked at his like body fat count. He probably doesn't. Last 5 games for Dwight Powell: 12 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and 4 blocks. That was this game against the Cavs. The other game against the Cavs: 8 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block. And then you go back before that: 12 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and a block. Game before that, 7 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Game before that, 13 points, 7 boards, and 3 blocks. He has been playing some really good defense. We usually don't praise Dwight Powell's defense at all. It's usually the complete opposite. But I think over this last stretch here, he's been playing really good defense. He's just a great backup center. Like him and Willie have actually been good backup centers over this last stretch here, and have looked much better than they did at the beginning of the season. The Mavericks just need KP and Maxey to come back and be 100% themselves. And if they can, then all of a sudden this front court is already like that's pretty solidified, and you can throw different looks and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, Dwight's been playing amazing, especially considering everything that he's went through to get back to this point.
Yeah,
I don't want to ruin all my Dwight content because I'm writing a big story on him, so I'm just going to save it for the story and say, hey, read it.
You could just say he's been good.
I know, I said he's been great. He really has been great.
Yeah, it was a team high plus 28. Him and Brunson were Brunson was plus 27. They were both in there when the Mavericks went on that big run after Luca went out, so that was kind of notable that they had the highest plus minus. They were the ones that really drove this big lead for the Mavs. So yeah, any other thoughts or things as we go into as we end this game? One more thinking.
No, just the Cavs suck, and I kind of feel bad for our Locked On Cavs guys because I don't know outside of Varejao.
That was fun, but
to see Varejao on the court, I don't see how. Besides him just being like a fan favorite, I guess, or Cavs legend, he's I think it's safe to say he's past his prime.
Yeah, we can safely say that. I mean, Sexton is fun to watch. Okoro has been doing some things. Garland's fun, but he's not playing. So anyway, we'll be back tomorrow, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.